Now to hear from Liza Khan, who will speak from her perspective of how she is managing her own firm and her experience. Liza will be addressing the government incentives and how she's applied them. Liza?
Thank you, Kiran. Good morning, everyone. I run my own practice where we have 4 lawyers, 2 partners, 2 LAs, and 1 staff. And I'm going to take you through the steps that you can do to manage your finances moving forward. Now, a lot of us may be going back to work on Monday, following the new announcement from the Prime Minister. But as we also know, courts are not open, and so possibly not all legal firms are going to be open. But one thing to remember before you resume your office is to take steps to protect and prevent your employees from contracting COVID-19. Now, how do you do that? First and foremost, develop standard operating procedures, put them in place so that steps are taken to help your firm and your employees not contracting COVID-19. Why is this important? Because if your employees fall ill, you as an employer will have to bear the cost of their medical expenses. That's number 1. Number 2, if anybody contracts COVID-19 in your firm will have to be quarantined for another 14 days at least. So moving forward, take those steps to limit the situation. Now, how do you do that? First and foremost, check on how your employees are going to be traveling to work. If you're going to be taking public transport, you might want to consider and help them with carpooling, for instance. If they're going to be carpooling, you might want to ensure that they pool car with the same people every day to limit infections. Number 2, make sure there are hand sanitizers in place. Everyone has a mask. Most important of all, temperature checks. Make sure your employees do a temperature check every day before coming to work. The guidelines by the ministry has required employees to record these temperature checks for the next 3 months moving forward. So make sure you have all this in place. The next thing is social distancing. First of all, avoid face-to-face meetings. Try to stagger the working hours. So if possible, maybe some can work from home on certain days and some can come in on certain days, or you might want to do a shift, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Importantly, avoid open working spaces where your employees are sitting close to each other. Make sure there's that 1 meter space between them. You also would have to sanitize your common areas and your common used items, preferably every day. And also make sure your employees avoid group lunches. You might want to read this article by Dr. Amar where he has set out all the steps that an employer should take to make sure that your employees and your office is protected. Now, what can you do? What to do with the partial uplifting of MCO? Familiar yourself with DOSH's guidelines on opening up your office. So I would recommend that you disinfect your office, make sure there are temperature checks daily with records, allow working from home as far as possible to limit infections. Just a point to note is that there is this program Saringan by Perkeso, where employees who are working during MCO can have free screening for their workers. Since it's only a partial upliftment of the MCO, I would think this still applies. So go in and apply for free screening by Perkeso. You might also want to consider allowing your employees time to make arrangements for their children and other family members that they may be caring for. because although some businesses are allowed to open, schools are still closed, mothers would still have to take care of their children or make arrangements before they can start working. So as an employer, be considerate, be mindful of your employees' needs to arrange to come into work on Monday. Here are some of the government incentives that are in place. The first is Bantuan Prihatin Nasional by LHDN. So if you're a Malaysian and a taxpayer, you can check on the BPN website whether or not you qualify for Bantuan Prihatin. It is about 500 ringgit a month. And it is paid directly into the bank account that you have registered with LHDN. If it's not paid into your bank account, you should be able to walk into a Bank Sepadan National counter and collect the money, cash from the counter. Next one is wage subsidy by Perkeso. If you're a small medium enterprise, you would qualify for wage subsidy for your employees that earn 4,000 ringgit and below. Law firms do qualify as small medium enterprises, provided you have 250 employees and below. Again, it's for employees that earn 4,000 and below, and the subsidy is for 3 months, April, May, and June. It is from about 1,200 to 600 ringgit, depending on the size of your firm. You can check this on the Perkeso website. If you type in wage subsidy program, you should be able to find this link. The forms are also on the website, so you can just fill them up and submit them online. I understand that some have problems accessing this website. Yes, there was an overload in the beginning, but if you keep trying, you should be able to get through it. Other government incentives, there is EPF withdrawal, they call it iLestari, where you can apply to withdraw your monies in savings in your number 2 account. It is recurrent monthly at 500 ringgit per month from the 1st of April to 31st of March 2012. So as long as you have money in your account 2 in EPF, you should be able to withdraw this 500 per month. You can go into type in iLestari and you will get the link. You can apply that online as well. The other thing is the Employment Insurance Scheme EIS Retention Program. You have to remember that this does not apply to self-employed or domestic workers. It is where it is applicable to employees who have accepted and agreed to unpaid leave. So if you're an employee who has agreed to unpaid leave, you can go in and apply for this subsidy, which is about 600 ringgit a month. Again, it's on Perkeso website. There was an article that said that this retention program has been kept on hold since 22nd of April, but it's still on the website. Try and go in and try and apply and see whether it still works. Now, BNM incentives. BNM has announced the SME Special Relief Fund. So legal firms are SMEs as long as you have 250 employees and below. You can apply for this special relief fund from any of the banks. All the banks are offering this. You would have to submit practicing certificates of all your partners, 3 years of your management accounts or audited accounts if you have them. The loan is for a tenure of 5.5 years with rate of interest of 3.5% per annum. So utilize that. Now, my firm, for instance, does not have 3 years management account because we're only 2 years old, but I'm told that Bank Sepadan Nasional, for instance, would accept 1 year management accounts. So that's worth checking out. You can read up on this and all the terms that apply on the BNM website. Now, creating cash flow, it's very important to create cash flow so that you can sustain your business moving forward. As you all know, BNM has also announced a 6-month moratorium on all financing and loans. It is an automatic moratorium on all your loans, if provided that your loans are not in areas of 90 days as at 1st April 2020. As an employer, I have opted to take advantage of this moratorium so that I can utilize the monies that I would otherwise use for my housing loan, for instance, towards overheads of my firm. So it's worthwhile considering utilizing this. Now, what happens during that 6 months moratorium? Your installments will still continue. Your normal interest will still be calculated. At the end of the 6 months, the amount that you owe for the next 6 months will be factored into your loan. You can ask for your installment payments to be recalculated, or you can ask for your loans to be restructured, so you can lengthen the period of your loan and work that moving forward. There is also no compound interest for the 6 months moratorium period. Now, you have to remember that this moratorium does not apply to credit cards, but for hire purchase loans, there is a moratorium, but you'll be required to agree on your new installment plan upfront. So I understand that this week, or all of you who do have hire purchase loans should receive an email or notification from your bank informing you of your new installment plan 6 months down the line. So if you're not agreeable to that installment plan, you can opt out of the moratorium. Most importantly, speak to your banker. There are all kinds of loans out there. You can restructure your loan, reschedule your loans. For credit card outstandings, you can also speak to your banker to convert them into a term loan so that you're not bogged down with the high interest rates that come with your credit card outstandings. And take advantage of all the opportunities out there. There are personal loans, overdrafts. Speak to your banker. They are there to help you. Another way to create cash flow is speak to your landlord. Now, LHDN has announced an economic stimulus package where your landlords will be entitled to special deductions of their tax if they give you a reduction of rental of at least 30% of rental rate from April to June 2020. So there is an impetus for your landlord to give you rental reductions. Speak to them, take advantage of them. There's no reason why your landlord would not want to give you that, because they do benefit from it at the end of the day. Statutory payments, for example, EPF, SOCSO, EIS is now deferred to 30th of the month as opposed to 15th of the month previously. So that gives you a little bit of breathing space of about 15 days to find monies to pay that. If you're unable, then speak to the statutory bodies to see how that can be worked out. Reach out to all your vendors. For example, your parking, the parking management. I'm sure you have parking for all your employees and yourselves. So speak to parking management, because you have not been using your parking, I'm sure, for the whole of April at least. So that can be deferred, or there can be reduction moving forward. LexisNexis as well is giving deferment of monthly payments for 3 months, and the monthly payments are then made into installment payments moving forward. So you can speak to LexisNexis and get some sort of deferment. Now, all your leased equipment, your photocopier, your printer, so on, speak to your vendors. I use Canon, and they have also helped with deferring payments. Of course, there's your savings. You can get family loans. You might want to think about selling your property or mortgaging property. Think about all the various ways that you can create cash flow. Most important of all, engage with your stakeholders. As a law firm, your stakeholders are your employees and your clients. Now, honesty, of course, is the best policy. So be open with your employees. Tell them if you're having financial difficulties, if you're unable to pay their salaries. At the end of the day, your employees do not want to be laid off. They would want to play ball with you to keep their jobs and make your business run. So work with your employees, try to find a win-win solution communication, like Sal said, is the best policy. And if you're going to have unpaid salary cuts, salary deferment, and even layoffs, do comply with the law, otherwise you're going to get yourself in a pickle. Your clients, speak to your clients. I'm sure they have legal work, but they are probably also concerned about incurring legal fees. So speak to them about retainer fees, installment plans, agreed fees moving forward. If you have receivables or bills that are still outstanding, for litigation, at least you can speak to your clients for a reduction on the bills on the terms of immediate payment or an installment plan. If you're a conveyancing firm or for conveyancing bills, please be mindful of solicitor's remuneration ordinance before granting your discounts. The other thing you can consider is factoring. Now, factoring is where you sell your receivables to a third-party funding service, financial service, at a discount. So that helps you get your outstandings earlier upfront to create cash flow as well. It helps you raise funds. I know CIMB offers it and bank offers it. Stanbic Group also has a factoring entity. So look into all these steps to help you create cash flow. What else can you do? Consider small practice groups. Look out for other small firms in your building. If you are a sole proprietor, you might want to band together with other sole proprietors in your building to set up a group practice. Please look at the legal professional rules on group law practice. You can Google it. It's on the Malaysian Bar website. So if you're a small firm with about two to five lawyers and you're also proprietor, you might want to band with other small firms. This will help you deal with your overheads because you can share your premises, share all the various facilities, your admin staff, your reception, so on and so forth. So do consider small practice groups. Now, a few things to remember is number one, the Bar Council does not allow virtual offices. So you do need to have an office address for service of documents. A virtual office is a no-no. The other thing to remember is client's money in your possession is not your money. It is not considered, it's not monies that you can touch other than for the purpose for which you have been appointed stakeholder. So even if you manage to pay back these monies that you take out from your client's account, it is still dishonesty and you can still be disbarred. So if your intention was to save your practice, taking out clients' monies is definitely not going to help you achieve that. Also monitor your staff. If you're particularly conveyancing firm where your staff has access to your checkbooks, your clients' monies, please be very, very mindful to monitor your staff as well. Now, moving forward, it's important to reinvent yourself. Like I said, for litigation, a lot of clients are averse to spending money when at the end of the day, they might not be able to recover as well. So think about reinventing yourself, and I think Shanti Abraham will be talking to you about that later on. And most important of all, take care of yourself to build your emotional resilience. Eat right, sleep right. It's very, very important that you have the right physique. You deal with your physical well-being as well as your mental well-being to be able to fight this. Take care of yourself and your business will be taken care of. That's all I have. I like to say we're all in this together, and so let's work together moving forward. Back to you, Kiran.
Thank you very much, Liza. That was very, very helpful. I'd like to share a comment that was made in the chat group by Adrian. She's actually said that for a temperature check to be more reliable, it needs to be accompanied by a declaration by the person that they have not taken a temperature reducing drug such as paracetamol. It's actually a very good idea. I never even thought about that.
The guidelines that has been issued by DOSH does have a form. that requires anyone that comes into your office to sign, including your clients, visitors to your office. So I would recommend that you utilize that.
And that form has that self-declaration in it.
Yes, yes.
There was another question, Liza, and this is probably appropriate for you. If an office opens for work and a staff who comes to work gets infected with COVID-19 in the course of working, is the employer liable for the employee's medical fees or for any subsequent healthcare or recovery needs? You'll see this in the Q&A.
Yep. From the guidelines as issued by the government, it would seem that yes, employees are liable, and that's why we have to take steps to ensure that as far as possible we protect our employees. Of course, there is that per queso program where your employees can get screened, but as an employer, I would think you would be liable for all the medical expenses. So you would want to think about that before opening your office.
Yes, that's how I would have read the guidelines as well. But the other thing is, at the moment, all COVID-19 patients are actually being taken to the government hospitals.
Yes.
I suppose that does sort of at least limit the...
It does reduce costs, but not entirely.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much, Liza. That was very enlightening.